Okay, so this is the second part of the demo. We will go ahead and focus mainly on the universal structure of the software for all of the industries. Every single one of them will have the same capabilities as you, and we'll go ahead and learn what they are. So first, when you log in, like we've mentioned earlier, we will go ahead and land on the dashboard always, and here's how that looks like. So by default, you'll be able to see 5 upcoming bookings and 5 bookings in the job history. Currently, I have only one added in the whole system, so that's why you only see one, and it would basically look like that. Okay, so in the upcoming, you'll see the date, when it's occurring, when the customer's name, and you could click on these to go ahead and go to the customer or to the provider themselves. You can go ahead and see the location. There's tags here, SA or ML if it's a merchant location. We'll go ahead and talk about both of them later. You see the price with a little bit more information when you hover over it, and then you could go inside the booking to see extra information. You could go ahead and cancel it from here or even postpone it if it's a reoccurring service. And then again, if you hover over this tag, you'll see more information. When you look at the job history, you'll be able to rate it if the customer didn't rate it themselves. And again, you could go ahead and click on the eye to view more information. And if it has not yet been charged, you can go ahead and cancel it. And we'll talk about charges and all of that later on. This pending tag means that it still has not yet been charged in any way. So if you're collecting cash and check from a customer, we'll still say that until you confirm that you actually collected the payment from the customer. Okay, and here you have more tags. Team of 3. That means that this is assigned to a team. This is the team name. We named it Team 2. You can name it whatever you want when you're setting it up. And then it will tell you how many people are inside. Okay, you could also view these things under bookings and upcoming and job history. So there's specific tabs for that. So if you click on upcoming, this is how it will look like. And if you click on job history, then all of the bookings and the job history will be shown here, and you have filters for both that you could go ahead and go through. Now, there's also a today section. This means that if there are any bookings for today specifically, they will all be shown here, and it's a quick, easy access to view the bookings that are going on today or that have occurred today. The next section is the unassigned bookings. This is probably one of the coolest sections of the software. Any kind of booking that is unassigned to someone will end up here, and let me show you how that looks like in just a second. But basically, if someone is going on vacation or something and you have no one to give it to, you could place it in the unassigned folder, and from the unassigned folder, the provider, they actually have their own specific unassigned folder, which I'll actually show you right here. So this is how that looks like. And when they go on to the unassigned section, they'll be able to see any unassigned bookings here under their folder, only if they are available for that booking. So if they don't service that area, that booking will not be shown to them. Or if they don't do that kind of service or whatever, they will not be able to see that booking. But if they do, they are able to perform that kind of service, they will be shown here and they can go ahead and grab it. So let me show you how that looks like real quick. So we'll go ahead and, let's say, assign a booking. I'll go ahead and this is the canceled bookings section. I'll go ahead and come in here and go to the second step, and let's actually just move that to the unassigned folder for the same date and time, and let's resume it. It should end up right in the unassigned folder for a past date. So this is actually for a past date, but you could do it for past or future. Okay, so let's take a look how that looks like. Okay, so now you see there's a booking in here, right? So now you could go ahead and assign it to the people that are available. So if there's anybody that's available, you could go ahead and assign it to them directly. And the scheduling is very smart, so it will avoid any double bookings or overlapping in schedules. And I'll go ahead and talk to you about that in a little bit to show you how the scheduling works. But basically, if you assign it to someone, it will know not to schedule it for a date that they already have a booking for, or a time that there is a booking for. Okay, and you could pick teams if there are any, and single providers if there are any. Okay, if you want to give it to someone specific. Now the not available section, this is pretty cool because these people do not work these this date and time. So if the booking is for 11 a.m., they either have that time off or the whole day off, and they are in the not available section. But if you assign it to them, then they'll go ahead and get this booking, but they will remain closed. So if the customer cancels this appointment for whatever reason, they will not be able to be scheduled for that same date and time because technically they are not available. Maybe they agreed to pick up that booking for whatever reason, or you never know what it could be. And let me show you how that actually looks like. So if you assign it to someone like this, then this one was in the job history. You'll go ahead and get a tag like this, NA, notifying you that actually that they are not available. Okay, so you could go ahead and go back in that booking and do whatever you want with it. So I'll go ahead and move it back to the unassigned folder. Okay, and that's for 5/23, so we'll remain with the same date. And then this person should be able to see it if they are available for it. So it looks like for that booking they are not. So let's maybe put it for a different spot. Let's do it sometime in the future. Let's do it the 12th. Maybe they would be available. So this is one way you could check. So it looks like they would not be able to do this booking. Let's see a different date. Okay, so it looks like they can. So we'll go ahead and just move it for 6/14 at 11 a.m. Okay, and now we'll update it. And now since they were on schedule, that means they could do it. And that booking will now be seen here by them. So now they could just go ahead and grab it if they view the details. So they could click on the eye and see the details of it. And then if they like what they see, they like the pay and everything, they could just go ahead and go to the unassigned folder and grab it, and it will be assigned to them. So that's pretty cool. That's how the unassigned folder works. Now, another thing that you could do with it is you could go ahead and send an invite to all the providers, so either available providers or not available providers. And you could go ahead and say something like, hey, there's a booking in the unassigned folder. Would you like to grab it? Or whatever you would like, right? And then they'll go ahead and get a notification either via email, SMS, or app. An app is coming soon, so this one's not valid yet, but we already prepared this for the app. So you'll be able to select all three of these and then send them a notification. They'll go ahead and get it via whichever method you choose. And then once you send an invite, they'll be able to you'll be able to send a reminder. So there'll be a little clock here. If you click on reminder, then basically you could click on that and send a reminder again about this booking to the same people that you sent an invite to. Or you could just resend a new invite to different people if you'd like. You could also cancel the booking from here if really nobody is available for it, and it will just be gone. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. Cancellations. This one's straightforward. There would be canceled bookings here, and you'll be able to see them if they're here. Cancellation requests. So if you activate cancellation requests, that means if a customer is canceling something, you would have to approve it before it's canceled. If not, then you won't have to approve anything, and this section will not be used. Next is the booking charges. So if a job is completed, then this section, this is where the booking will end up. Okay, so here you could see one of the jobs that was already completed. Now you get to charge it. Okay, so if you click charge, it will charge your credit card, and it will move to all charges. Okay, so if this is identifying that there's cash and check. If you go ahead and change this, the payment method under this booking to cash check, then this means that you'll get a different icon. and then once you click that icon, it will just let you know that you've collected payment. It's not going to charge anything. It'll just move the booking over here. Okay, and you should do that every single day if there's completed bookings, so that you know if there's any new ones to charge or collect payment from. So we'll go ahead and charge it in a second. Also, there is a void here. If you click on void and put a reason in, then this will mark this booking as 0. So it'll change the price to 0 everywhere, and this booking will be considered that you didn't get any payment from the customer. However, the provider will still get paid for it, unless you change it inside before you actually void it. So over here, if you change it on the second step, that okay, I don't want anybody getting paid for it, so I'll change everything to 0. Then at the end, the provider's not going to get anything for it, and you could do whatever you want with it. So if you put 0, it's just gonna keep lowering the price. Okay, and it will look something like that. You could go all the way to 0 with it, and then when you update it, that's how it's gonna look. And then later under the payments, which I'll show you how that looks like, it'll basically show 0 under this booking itself. Okay, so that's how that looks like. Let's charge this one. Okay, so this one is charged, and now it ends up here, and it's showing us CC. That means that it will the credit card was charged. If it says cash check, that means you've collected payment via cash check. And here is where you could do all of your refunds. So you click on this, you could go ahead and do a partial or a full refund. You could do an extra charge from here. So if you want to charge the customer extra for whatever reason, you could go ahead and put the amount here, and it'll go ahead and charge them. And if you have sales tax activated, it will also charge that. And you could use a credit card if they have one on file, or you could mark it as cash check, and then that means you'll have to collect the money manually. Okay, and then later, whenever you do get charges like that, I'll show you one, for example. There will be a new row under that booking itself, and you could go ahead and refund these charges individually. Okay, so let it load. When you click on more, you'll see all of these charges here separately. So you could refund all of them separately. So if there is a tip that wasn't added during the booking, but later on someone gave tip, there would be a new row, and when you hover over it, it would say tip instead of like additional charge or original booking, and then you could refund that tip separately if you like. Okay, so that's basically how that looks like. Let me maybe show you how a refund will look like real quick. So here under this booking, you see there's a payment adjustment. So typically this doesn't come unless you do some sort of adjustment after you charge the booking. So like this one had an additional charge. So we'll show you the additional charge, and it will show you the total now after adjustment. So if I refund this, give a full refund of that, and then this basically the total after adjustment will change to $22. If I refund both of these fully, it'll show you that it's 0. Okay, so here's drafts. This is basically during a booking you could go ahead and do save it as a draft and come back to it and finish it later. Now customer tab, this is pretty simple. All your customers will be shown here, so you'll be able to see some of their info. You could click on new booking and it will already pre-fill their information. You could log in as them, which will basically take you to this type of a screen of what the customer sees when they log in, which we'll go ahead and briefly talk about later. So you can see their upcoming bookings, any bookings they've had completed. If there are bookings that were completed but not yet charged, you'll see them here. If any of them declined, you'll see that here, and if any bookings are canceled, you'll see them here. So maybe let's see if there's some more information. Okay, so it'll kind of look like that. This one is a little bit more. Profile, you could see more of their info here, pretty straightforward. You could add multiple addresses here that under a book, when you're creating a booking, you could quickly look through them, and I'll show you how that will look a little bit later. Same thing with billing info. If you have different cards for different cities, they'll be shown here. Notifications, you could customize them or enable, disable them specifically towards a customer. So if a customer says, hey, I don't want, any booking reminders anymore because they're annoying or whatever, you could go ahead and turn it off specifically for that customer. Or if they don't want any SMS notifications ever, you could go ahead and turn those off. Gift cards, you could go ahead and send a gift card directly from this customer and to whoever you want, and if they received one, it will be shown here. So whoever they send it to, you'll be able to see it with the code, and if they got one, if this customer received the gift card, it will be shown here as well. Referrals, you could go ahead and track all of their referrals here, and if you input a number here, it will go ahead and switch to whatever you give them. So if there's any referrals, if they send any invites, it will be shown over here. So maybe let's quickly show you how that looks like. So we'll send a quick little invite to someone. Okay, so it looks like someone's invited. And then when you refresh this, you'll be able to see that this person invited someone. And if they book, it will say booked, and if they completed the referral process, then it will show completed. Okay, so that's how the customer dashboard looks like. Pretty straightforward. Same thing with providers. You can see all of your providers here. So if you have teams, they'll be shown here with the team tag. If there's individuals, they'll be shown here. If you click on this plus, you'll be able to see who's inside that team. And you can see their rating and their speed. There's 4 different options you could put here, and that will identify what type of worker they are. You could go ahead and deactivate them if they don't have any active bookings under their account. You could go ahead and view this for a little bit extra information, or click on the eye. So like here, you'll be able to see all of their bookings. Let's actually maybe see someone else's. Okay, so this is a booking for today for this provider specifically, upcoming bookings for this provider specifically, so you can see how much that person's getting paid. And then if there's any completed bookings, that will be found here. This is basically a job history only for this provider. If you go to the profile, you could see some information about them, and these we'll go ahead and talk about later. You could go ahead and make variables for this person, change their settings, and if this person, so this is like a break, which we'll discuss later how breaks work, but this basically helps the schedule decide when the next job could be scheduled with no conflicts. Let's see, if you don't want this person to be scheduled for same day jobs, you could go ahead and put no, or there's a bunch of different options that you could go ahead and do in the software. So for example, which industry does this provider or team belong to? Do they do all the industries you offer, or they only might be doing home cleaning, but they might not be doing post-construction? Then you get to decide excuse me, then you get to decide how much you're getting paid for home cleaning versus how much you're getting paid for post-construction. Do you want them to be paired with other individuals, or this individual does not want to be paired ever? You could go ahead and specify which zip codes they never want to be scheduled for. You could even go here and exclude customers from being paired or booked with this provider. So if the customer is booking, this will ensure that they never get paired with this provider or team. Okay, schedule, here is where you go ahead and put your the provider's working hours. So if someone works from 8 to 6 p.m., you could go ahead and specify that for a specific date. If you'd like, instead of a day, like a day of the week, So you could go ahead and make it very specific. Does the schedule occur every week or every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks? Or you could go ahead and go on specific date and create very custom ones to this person. And of course, later you could modify them as well. If they ever need to go on vacation, you could close down a day or whatever you'd like. And then the system will know never to schedule for that day. Here's their payments. So if any payments come in, you'll be able to see them, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Their reviews, if they have any reviews, they'll go ahead and be shown here. So let's see if we could go ahead and do a quick payment if there are any. Okay, so let's grab something random. Okay, so it looks like there's something under this account. So this person looks like belongs to a team. Let's find out which one. Okay, so we'll go on this person. And it looks like they got a payment, okay? So you could go ahead and view the entire payment. And then here will be a breakdown per home or per job. You'll be able to see how much they got paid for that specific job, and then all of it added up here. And then you could also view that before you send the payment. So let's go ahead and go back to that and see how that would look like. So if there's multiple jobs, they would be shown here, and you could go ahead and see that. And you could go ahead and click on this job specifically to view the entire thing. Okay, so you could see what's going on. You could even update the payment if it hasn't been sent out to this provider yet. Okay, and then payment logs, these are basically all of the payments that have been sent out. So if you ever need to go ahead and look for a payment log, you could go ahead and find it here. Now, coupons, you could create a bunch of coupons with a bunch of features within these coupons, like which city do they belong to, which service do they belong to, which industry do they belong to, what day is that coupon valid for, how many, is it for new customers, old customers, all of them. You could go ahead and send gift cards here. You could upload your own if you'd like. And here are all the gift cards that you'll be able to see. So gift cards that were sent out or that are not completed yet, and then all redeemed gift cards will be shown on the bottom. All the ratings, so if there are any ratings, let's actually do one right now so you can see how that looks like. So if we rate something, you could rate on behalf of a customer, or you could have customers rate only. That's completely up to you. And then all of the ratings will be shown here if you want to view them. You could always reset them too if you ever need to change it. And then email lists, this is a cool section. How this works is basically you could go ahead and make MailChimp lists if you use MailChimp, and then if you make a new staff, which I'll show you how to do later, it will go inside that proper list. If you have a providers list, all of your providers will go ahead and go into that list. If you have a customers list, all of the customers are going to go in that list. And then you could do more specific lists per form, per location, and per industry. So for example, if you offer reoccurring service, you offer one-time service, you could create 3 different lists, one for one time under a specific location. Like let's say Chicago, you do home cleaning in Chicago, and you offer you build a list for one time, and you build a list for reoccurring clients, and then there's a third list for people that come into your site and they put their email address in, but they never really complete the booking, and then this is how it would look like. So you would click on home cleaning, and this is just a test that we're doing, so this wouldn't look like this. But basically, they reach this step, they put the email, they go to the next page, and then they never finish their booking. It will go ahead and get placed in the cart abandonment list, and then you could go ahead and launch an email sequence to them to finish their booking. And then if they completed, it would either go into the one-time or the reoccurring, depending on what they selected. And then if they ever switch lists, by canceling service. For example, if they had a reoccurring service, they canceled it, they would get placed back into the one-time list, and you could go ahead and set up email campaigns based on that. And we have more videos explaining this stuff, as well as right here. You could go ahead and view this, and it will give you more information about this section. It's pretty neat stuff. Here you have reports. So there's a lot of reports that you could go ahead and view. Okay, so let's see an example. So you are able to see the revenue, how much, this type of frequency is bringing in, how much tips you've brought in, bookings, how many total bookings you've had for the year, how many of this type of frequency, how much payment was sent out in the entire year, how many referrals you've had, how many trends, for example, what the revenue per booking is on average, all your ratings, so you could see how your company's performing. And when you click on view details, it'll go ahead and take you inside and give you much more in-depth stuff. So let's take a look how revenue would look like. So here you would be able to see how much sales tax you've collected, and you could run that per location if you like, per industry if you have multiple industries. Let's see, and you have a little graph here that you are able to track per day even to determine which days are bringing in a lot of revenue compared to the other ones. Let's see, here's a trends report, so you can see how many bookings per customer you have on average. So throughout the year, as an example, this is just an example account, so this one would say 64 bookings per customer, which is usually unrealistic. I don't know what number you guys would have, but this would help you figure that out. More reports like cancellation report. Any canceled bookings that you would have would be shown here. So if someone canceled a one-time service, it would tally up, it would show one here, and if they selected a reason, it would show the reason here, so you could go ahead and quickly see why people are canceling your service and what type of frequency they're canceling most often, and stuff like that. And then there's, of course, other reports down below that you can go ahead and check out. System logs. This basically tells you who did what, from where, and at what time, so you can always track what everybody is doing. So if a customer did something, it'll tell you which customer made the change. If one of your employees, your staff members did something, it'll tell you their name, what IP they did it from. So if it's from your office or from their home, whatever it may be. And when you go ahead and click on the eye, it will give you more details if there are more details to talk about. And settings, here's where you basically set up your entire account. So your info, this is basically your email, your billing, and your subscription plan. So this is very straightforward. And here's store options. This is where most of the options come in, where you could go ahead and go over these. This is where you set up your travel time break, non-travel time break. So if someone's traveling from location to location, this will know how much break between jobs should someone have before another job is scheduled. And then if someone is staying at the same location, like a barber, let's say, that's working at the same store, you could have a shorter break time because they don't need to go anywhere. So now it might be something like 5 minutes, where the next job would be scheduled 5 minutes later, so it would take only a 5-minute break, and then something could be scheduled after, whether using a travel time break where it could be 1 hour, and which would mean that nothing could be scheduled till at least 1 hour of break passes. Here you could go ahead and charge cancellations, how much, and you could go ahead and specify this per industry under the industry settings, which we'll go ahead and talk about. Here are some more options for customers that are very useful, like do you allow same-day bookings? So can customers book for the same day, yes or no? And you could go ahead and specify this for providers as well later. For example, can this provider do same-day jobs or not? So you could have this on, but you could turn off specific providers if they don't want to do that. They don't want to pick up same-day jobs. provider. Here is where you could go ahead and make allowances for them. So if you offer, let's say, gas, you could go ahead and say, okay, I offer $4 per job, and on top of whatever they're getting paid, they'll go ahead and get reimbursed $4 per job. Or if you do supplies, another $4, they will get $8 per job. And when you're making a booking, you could always change that within the booking itself to always get 100% accurate results when you're paying. Okay, and then here, scheduling. This is pretty cool. You have 3 different options to set up your account, and you have to be careful because once you set these options up and later have bookings, you cannot go back and change these unless unless you cancel out those bookings that are on schedule. So how this works is, if you have accepted automatically, this means that if you make a booking or a customer makes a booking, it goes to someone's account, to a provider's account automatically, and they will not have to accept or decline it. It will just go ahead and go into their account, and it will be theirs automatically, okay, without choice, unless they tell you and you reschedule it later. Accept all jobs, that means that they'll go ahead and get an invite, something like this. Let's see if we have one. Okay, new invitation for a booking. So if a customer makes a booking or you make a booking, you'll recognize that this person is available. We'll send them an invite, and then over here it looks like this one already expired, but there would be a clock where they, let's say, have 5 minutes, and you could set whatever time you have or you want, and they would have to accept or decline that job. And if the time runs out, it would just go search for another available provider and then send them an invite. Okay, and while it's looking, that job would be in the unassigned folder for anybody else to take. Okay, and here's accept same day only, which is a combination of both. So if someone is making a booking for non same day jobs, it will go automatically into their account. However, if they're booking for the same day, so today for later in the day, it would not go in someone's account automatically, but it would go ahead and ask, or it would send an invite to someone to pick it up, and it would work however accept all jobs would work. And here's where you would set up the time. Okay, this person has 5 days or 5 minutes to accept that job. And here are some extra options. Okay, so that's how that works. Here you have your industries that you could set up. So there are multiple industries that you could have if you'd like. If you do just one, you'll be able to set up one. If you have multiple, you'll be able to set up multiple by clicking Add Industry and selecting one from here, or you could customize your own. So you would go ahead and pick that, name it whatever you want to name the industry, and then build your form however you would want, whether it's package based. And let's actually do an example. So we have 5 different forms that you could choose from, and then however you would like to set them up, that's completely up to you. Okay, so see, it's already been added here, but you still have to finish setting it up in order for it to actually get activated. So you click on form settings, and since there's no form activated yet, you won't have one. So form 5, this is a per hour form, so a customer would select how many hours do they want you there for. Form 1, this is based on variables such as like bedrooms and bathrooms, as you can see from the image. And then there's other ones like form 2, that's based on packages. So if it was for a vehicle, they would have to first select the vehicle type and then the packages that go for that vehicle specifically. And again, you could set this up in various variations, and that's completely up to you. And if you have multiple industries, they would go ahead and show up like this, and that's how the customer would see it on their end as well if you offer multiple industries. So once we refresh that and someone wants to make a new booking, they'll go ahead and be able to pick that industry from here, and then it would take them to a form, and now they could go ahead and select based on the options you offer. And again, this is 100% customizable. Whichever way you want to do it, you can go ahead and set that up, and they'll be able to pick those options from here. Okay, and then within the industries itself, there are a bunch of options there. Here you could add staff members. So if you have staff members, they'll be all shown here. You could go ahead and change permissions. So if you don't want them seeing specific sections of this site, you can go ahead and turn it off. Booking spots. These are basically done per location or per store. So you could go ahead and there's two types of ways that you could offer services. It's either going to someone's home, their location, or them coming to you. And you could go ahead and make booking spots for either or, which means that if they're booking, what would they see? What dates can they pick from? And they could be exact times or they could be ranges. So if you offer 3 to 4 p.m., that means if you activate this and the customer picks between 3 and 4, that means the provider is going to be there between 3 and 4 instead of 6 p.m. And you can customize those per location once again. So like a dog walker, for this one, probably you would offer both of these, right? Where is the appointment taking place, customer location or merchant location? So they could either drop off the dog at their store, the customer would drop off the dog at your store, or you would go pick up the dog at their location. And here you can go ahead and pick the zip code, and if you don't offer that zip code, well, you just won't be able to make the appointment. And if they're doing it on their end, they'll be notified as well that, hey, you don't service that area. And let's take a look at how that quickly looks like. So let's just put a random zip code. Okay, they'll go ahead and say we don't service this area yet, but if you do, it will go ahead and let them through. Okay, and then notifications. This is the last big section on your end where you could go ahead and control all types of notifications. Like, do they get a receipt email every time, a booking modified, and then these notifications come to you, the customer, provider, and staff members. You can go ahead and go through them, and you could even go ahead and customize them from inside here if you'd like, and offer whatever you want. So there's also SMS notifications that you go ahead and control and modify. What do you want to be sent out? There is app notifications, actually, and there's system alerts. And system alerts are pretty cool because these are shown right here. So you'll be able, if there's, an icon that there's a notification, you can go ahead and click on the bell, and then you'll be able to see what was done. So if you activate all of them, well, it will tell you every time someone modifies a booking. It will tell you whenever someone cancels it, or any one of these options. So, okay, there's a new booking in the unassigned folder, or whatever you would like it to be. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot of options from this end, and let's quickly touch base on these two accounts here, the provider account and the customer account. You've already seen it throughout the video, but let's just go ahead and touch base a little bit more in depth. So on their dashboard, this is what the provider will see, and everybody has their own login. Once you create it, they'll be able to see all of their appointments. When they click under here, they'll be able to see more details about the appointment. The unassigned folder we already discussed. Their profile, they could see their rating. They could see all of their payments under here, and then reviews if they have any. Okay, and then the customer, well, they could see all of their bookings, their next appointment, their previous jobs. They could rate the service. If there are any canceled bookings, they'll be able to see them here and resume them if they would like. Gift cards, if they have any that were sent out or sent to them, they'll be shown here with the codes. They could go ahead and send out more, so they'll be taken to this page, pre-filled, and they could go ahead and choose from gift cards and send it out. Earn credits, they could go ahead and earn credits by sharing links, sending emails and stuff like that. And then here's where they could go ahead and control their email settings or notification settings. And that's basically it from this side. And then the last thing is the front end. So if you're embedding this on your website, on your existing website, you'll be able to copy this onto your website, and then when someone clicks on book now, it'll look something like this, where they're not yet signed in, but they'll go ahead and have these forms, and once they make their first booking, they would be redirected into a inside their dashboard. Same with gift card. If they purchase a gift card, they would be taken into their account for the first time, and that's how their account would be created. Okay, so that's basically it. A full in-depth demo version of the BookingKoala software. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.